It was very interesting because there's lots of stuff happening at angles. If you guys can't see, you can come and stand up closer if you'd like to. There's a lot of interesting angles happening. A lot of it was foreshortened coming toward me. So let's start out with our line of gesture. We had a very severe bend in her spine, and she was seated. So I'm going to put an indication where I think her chair is going to end up being. Like this. So I'm having a couple lines of gesture. And then I can start with my head shape. And her head was leaned back a little bit away from me, and her neck was angled. Angled like this, which is kind of surprising, but that's what I was seeing, so I was happy to put that in. Give her some hair again. All right. Now her shoulder line, again, was very angled, and this shoulder was pretty far away. And her upper arm immediately disappeared back behind her rib cage. So instead of indicating a rib cage, what I kind of saw was this shape that starts with these shoulders and comes down here to the bust line. So it's a trapezoid that's sort of narrower at the bottom and wider at the top. So I'm not so concerned with the rib cage because this is an easier thing for me to see and translate. So we have some bust line information here. Like this. So it puts her rib cage down here a little bit lower, and I could see it impacting the side of her body right there. So then her whole rest of her body is at an angle back this way, kind of like this. This is a very, very sharp compression here, so we have a little bits of some flesh compressing together, and of course we have negative space. So the negative space is going to be right here. That's where her arm comes down. And this pelvis shape is a pretty big shape, but I had to keep making it bigger. But what was really helpful to me was there's a little indicator in the middle to help me get my size right. And that indicator is a tan line. Really useful stuff, these tan lines. So her leg is again foreshortened, coming toward me, coming straight toward me. So I don't know how foreshortened it is, but I know where her knee is because her knee is right here. It's just a little bit to the left of where her abdomen is going to impact into this thigh right here like this. It's on her toe. So again, I'm just going to stick with simple shapes. I want to get all this tricky proportion worked out before I get involved in doing any kind of detail. I'm already seeing the head looking a little bit on the big side. So I can just keep correcting this stuff as I go because, again, proportion is relative. So things are in proportion relative to other things. So the quicker I can get some indication of every part of this body on the paper, the quicker I can make decisions about proportion, like I'm doing right now. When I do foreshortening, I like to think about the point of origin, which for this leg is right here, and its destination. So if I can put in my destination and I know where my point of origin is, my foreshortening kind of falls into place, ideally. So this leg also is coming toward me, and when things come toward me and I'm making simple shapes, I like to make simple shapes that are curved on the ends. This is like an implied tube. This implies a tube coming toward me, so this would be my simple shape right here. Again, I have negative space. It's going to help me get this organized because my feet have to end up at the same level. They're both going to be, I had a low angle of view, so I don't have a lot of differentiation between feet that are forward or back. So this still has to end up down here. And that seems like an awful long span of distance, but she was her foot was bent, so her ankle structure would be right about here, and the rest of her foot would end up down here, like this. So this form is in front of this form, and her heel is behind this form. So just like that. Let me just kind of clean up everything else a little bit and make some decisions about all of my foreshortening. Oh, and I'm missing an arm. There's an arm that comes right out of her breast, right here. And she had a very expressive hand gesture. So I definitely want to get that captured right there like that. I'm not even seeing her upper arm at all. Here. So now that I know how long this upper arm is, I know where I can put my muscle information. I have to know how long this form is before I can do that. You can give her some detail onto her neck. Her eyebrow line is going to move down a little tiny bit, and that'll put her eyes at the center of her head. So she'll have eyebrows up here. Her eyes will be over here like this. And kind of sculpt out the side of her head a little bit. There's the ball of her nose, like that. I give her a mouth. And darker upper lip. And her lower lip's going to be light because there's light hitting it. And since I've moved her head around a little bit, I'm just going to move her jaw down. Very nice pose. So there's a lot of interesting angles happening here. So I had to get all the things, all of my stuff had to be worked out with simple shapes before I get involved with detail. All right, thank you.